Welcome to Bloomers in the Garden. I'm Len Schroeder.
And I'm Julio Zamora.
The first sign of spring is not seeing a robin on your front lawn, but the Philadelphia Flower Show. Today on Bloomers in the Garden, we have special guest Seth Pearsoll, the creative director and vice president of the Philadelphia Flower Show.
This year, the Philadelphia Flower Show is again being held inside at the Philadelphia Convention Center. This theme is for 2024, and it's called United by Flowers.
I found the theme association with the loneliness epidemic incredibly interesting. Seth was quoted and said, "I always think of the flower show as something best done with someone else." That's perfect. Perfect date night, right, Sam? You're going.
This is the 195th year for the Philadelphia Flower Show. It has an incredible history and is, in fact, the longest-running indoor flower show in the world.
Seth will give us inside information on how to get the most out of this year's flower show.
So stay tuned, and we'll be right back in the garden with creative director and vice president of the Flower Show, Seth Pearsoll, right after these messages. Bloomers in the Garden is brought to you each week by Bloomers Home and Garden Center. Bloomers is an award-winning garden center just 20 minutes from Philadelphia. Bloomers has been providing expert advice turning brown thumbs green for over 30 years. At Bloomers, we want you to ask us every question, even if you think it's silly. We share information in a friendly, non-judgmental way that is meant to teach and spread the joy of gardening. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center in Washington Township, Gloucester County. For directions, go to bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden. Fertilome's Triple Action contains 70% neem oil and 0.25% pyrethrins as a concentrate and ready to spray. It is an insecticide, fungicide, and miticide labeled to use on vegetables, fruits, nuts, herbs, spices, and ornamentals. This organic OMRI-listed product controls a wide variety of insect pests and diseases, including aphids, scale, spider mites, whiteflies, rust, leaf spot, and powdery mildew. This insecticide is an all-in-one bottle that will cure just about any problem you may run into throughout the year. Fertilome's Triple Action has been helping gardeners across the country for years. Best to apply in late evening and early morning hours. Mix 1 ounce, which is equivalent to 2 tablespoons in a gallon of water. The best part is Triple Action may be used up to the day of harvest. So the next time you are visiting your favorite garden center, ask for Fertilome's Triple Action and expect to have the best-looking plants in the neighborhood.
You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or see and hear us by subscribing to Bloomers YouTube channel. Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley every Saturday. First, wake up with us at 6 a.m. on WNWR The Word at 95.3 FM and 1540 AM. Tune in at 8 a.m. to Bloomers in the Garden Radio on Talk 860 WWDB. A rebroadcast of Bloomers in the Garden Radio is played each Saturday evening at 5 p.m. on The Word, 95.3 FM and 1540 AM. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard throughout the New York tri-state area on Classic Oldies, 1250 AM WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden. Seth, welcome to Bloomers in the Garden. It's incredible to think that this is 195 years from the original flower show.
Yes, long running. There's a lot of history, a lot of legacy. The pressure's on.
Yeah, right. Don't screw it up.
Don't mess it up. Keep it going. Keep everybody happy.
Yeah,
well, like Poinsett, we've talked about Joel Poinsett and his whole story, and where it was introduced at the first flower show, correct?
First flower show, 1829, which was in the Masonic Hall at Chestnut Street. And in the beginning, that was a big thing, right? And like you still see a little bit of that with remnants of horticourt today, but it was a place to debut and celebrate these new cultivars coming to market.
And I guess you could buy them or order them for, like, I mean, it was estate gardening back then, and it was...
Yep. You could typically buy that stuff, and then, the nursery industry was very regal and elegant, and you would be placing these big orders for, staging and styling your entire home or party. So yeah, that was, and there still is a little bit of that today, but not like it was back in 1829.
Right. Well, it's like at your house.
I know.
Yeah.
Like Julio's place.
So, like, what is some of the history? Are there historical figures or plants that were introduced? Give me 195 years. My gosh.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. The beginning of PHS, or the beginning of the flower show, was a lot of these small kind of national shows or collections. So you see like, the chrysanthemum show, you see, things called like the women's classes. That's actually what they were called. And it was, ways that people did tabletops or tabletop decor. So it was a lot of these collections of smaller groups coming to do their thing. And over the history, you see it pieced together bit by bit. And eventually it starts to assume this notion of the flower show as a separate corporation, because, it's all these little groups coming together for this bigger thing, which actually is still kind of what it is at its core.
So it would be like, the Rose Society, or then it would be people that collected dahlias or something along those lines.
Exactly. So you might have Burpee debuting sweet peas, in 1929, 1922, there would have been a chrysanthemum show, 1916, a national flower show. And it's full of these kind of, people and enthusiasts debuting their ware. And of course they needed a big place where everybody could come to make it worth the while. So that's sort of, how this thing starts to get momentum.
That's in the beginning of the 1800s?
Well, probably towards late 19th century, early 20th century.
Early.
Yeah, right. So, you have a little bit of that in the 1800s. The 1800s was really a lot of also produce, like, people would be growing their own stuff, their own flowers, their own produce. So that really you see in the beginning. And then as I don't want to say an industry, it's not really an industry, but as the trade started to solidify and get a little more formal, then you would see people being like, okay, that thing is going on. Here's a great place. Let's just take all of our sweet peas and display them there too. So you would see that probably towards 1900 to 1920 kind of range.
I often think about, it's like, all right, so 1929 or 1829, what was going on historically in our country? And you think that's pre-Civil War.
Yes.
And then we have post-Civil War.
Yep.
And then, and again, I don't know if I'm going off of wars or what, but again, World War II.
Yeah.
So it basically, our expansion west is all happening all during this. To me, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's funny, during World War II, moving forward a little bit, the flower show did hit pause for about 4 years. And, a lot of like French nurseries would send their stocks to the U.S. because, they were getting razed and bombed and, all sorts of crazy things happening.
Right.
So, I think when the flower show resumed in 45, I believe it was the Peace Rose. I'll double check my notes, but there was a rose from French stock that was re-debuted back in the U.S. As a result of trying to salvage it.
I'm smiling because last week we talked about Valentine's Day and about how, instead of just giving a dozen roses, how about you create a rose garden for your significant other?
Oh, I love that.
And Peace was one of the roses that I had mentioned. It's like, one of my favorites. I can't believe it's that old.
The other thing too is bulbs were huge because you couldn't get florists, hydrangeas, or bulbs from the Netherlands during those years. It really pumped up the American industry. You had to get all that stuff right here from the States because the Dutch weren't really shipping it. So interesting little moment in history.
Yeah, and for my Dutch background, I was told that they were forced to eat bulbs.
Yeah,
because of the whole invasion of everything. And again, then you go forward, and Philadelphia has always been a central city, the original, really, even greater than New York. And that I know those of you sports fans out there always have that New York, Philadelphia, which is better.
Little rivalry.
I've been in both.
Okay.
Been in both.
Yeah.
But the issue is that Philadelphia as a horticultural center where you look at all of the different gardens and botanical gardens that we have to go to. And actually last night I was at Grounds for Sculpture.
Spectacular.
And it was to see the night forms. And just there are so many. And that I wonder, like, when were they created? Like PHS, and I'm getting off topic a little bit, PHS has their own botanical garden, like Meadowbrook Farms.
Technically, yeah. Well, so PHS actually doesn't have a botanical garden in the sense that other botanical gardens are their own thing and have an organization associated with that.
Right.
PHS, we have Meadowbrook Farm, but that's not a long part of our DNA. That was a gift from Pennock in the 70s when he passed away, who was also an instrumental figure in the flower show, but it's not an estate that's been in our DNA.
So it's not a long historical thing.
Yeah, right.
All right. Well, we've got to take a break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about how did it go last year?
Yes.
First time in charge.
Yes.
We'll be back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden.
Are you looking forward to a spring of vibrancy while using the best organically approved growing media for your annuals and vegetables? Coast of Maine's Sprout Island Organic Seed Starter has been created to set a diverse culture ideal for germinating seeds and root cuttings. Created using the best ancient composting techniques and new age mixing devices, Sprout Island Organic Seed Starter gently combines kelp meal, worm castings, mycorrhiza, perlite, and sustainably harvested peat moss, establishing the most desirable setting to enhance new plant growth. Coast of Maine's Sprout Island Organic Seed Starter is available at these local retailers, or visit www.coastofmaine.com to locate one near you. Pickering Valley Feed and Farm, Exton, Pennsylvania. Ashcombe Farm and Greenhouses, Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Espen Shades Garden Centers and Greenhouse, Lidditz, Pennsylvania.
Wanting to up your game in the vegetable garden? With 90 years of organic gardening experience, the Espoma Company has you covered. Espoma Organic Garden Tone is not your average garden variety fertilizer. Garden Tone is especially blended for organic vegetable gardens. Its all-natural formula contains Biotone, a blend of organic ingredients that supplies essential nutrients for strong, healthy plants and mouth-watering vegetables. Its slow-release formula provides continuous feeding. The Biotone contained in Garden Tone is a combination of organic ingredients and beneficial microbes to help roots grow deeper and faster for bigger, more bountiful harvests. Garden Tone is simple to use and safe for people, pets, and the planet. No harmful chemicals or synthetic fertilizers are ever added. You can find Garden Tone at fine garden centers. Visit espoma.com to find a retailer near you. Garden Tone from Espoma, a natural in the garden since 1929.
Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. Seth, this is year 2 with you in charge. Now, what did you learn from last year's show?
So many things. So
my
many
gosh.
things. Timelines are everything. You can never be too early. We also every year learn a lot about crowd flow, right? Like the designers, they love to do walkthroughs. They like to get people in the exhibits being immersive. And I had to eliminate that this year. 360-degree exhibits, so still plenty of ways to see it and move around.
Right.
But those, in a couple of instances, trying to predict the queuing, I mean, that was a big lesson. We thought we had that floor plan nailed. It was a lot of fun, but, we've eliminated some of those bottlenecks.
That's great.
I loved walking through the displays like you're saying, but I felt bad for people trying to get pictures of the entire, trying to get that memory of everything when there's a line of people that are going through. But I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
it's a funny thing. So last year was the first time we were back indoors from 2 years in COVID.
Right.
In the outdoor setting, you had plenty of space to move around. It was probably 4 or 5 acres bigger.
Yep.
But what we noticed is even in, kind of from 2020 to last year, people really designing for Instagram, for social media moments. Obviously, there's been photo moments forever.
Right.
But now we're really seeing people really build that in. And that was
right,
another
yeah.
that was another crowd flow thing that's
That's
like
right, yeah.
really hard to predict how that's
people are more
gonna-
visual now.
Yeah. And, they're used to sort of queuing, like I'll stand in line, take the photo, move
Yeah.
on. And so that was a new little thing we learned last year.
That's so true. And then trying to see it on a screen that's the size of your phone.
Yeah. Or for us, trying to predict it from the drawings. So we get, various drawings from the exhibitors throughout the year, and we have to try to really figure out, like, all right, where's that moment? Is that going to be a crowd issue? Do we need to adjust or give you a different space right before that? So,
Because there is a wide range of demographics, let's just say, from kids that are running around
oh yeah,
to people that are just always have gone and that they're, they're seniors.
Sure.
And they have to watch where they step.
yeah, definitely.
Oh, and trying to accommodate them all.
I know. We do have more seating than ever. We've been collecting beautiful park benches. We've got some great benches from Longwood. We've got benches from Rittenhouse Square when Rittenhouse changed out their benches. So, further adding to seating, to that park-like feel. So should be very comfortable.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. We were talking about some of the kids' things that you have set, and Aaron chimed in.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you have specifically for kids that are, I don't know, 10 years old and under?
Got a lot of good stuff. So I'll start in the beginning. There's an area called the Grand Hall. It's the old train shed. And we've tried many different things. It's outside of the main show floor. If you come through SEPTA, it's that area. Beautiful architecture above. And I felt like it's never really had a soul, right? Like we've tried many different things. So last year we created Bloom City, and that's where we put all of the children or family programming, right? So it's full of activities. In Kids Cocoon, you can walk through the butterfly tent and feed butterflies, which is really, really fun. There's demonstrations. There's story time out there. There's literal, ways to plant, literally get your hands in dirt with experts.
Now, can I quick ask a question?
Yeah.
The cocoon area is different than the butterfly garden because the butterfly exhibit, do you do it or is it so does someone else do it for, I'm going to say it, for a profit? Like it's $5, I think, to go in.
Yeah, somebody
but
else.
not cocoon, or is that different?
So Butterflies Live is in Kids Cocoon.
Okay.
It's a big kind of a tented area with, gardens inside. That's a big anchor for Kids Cocoon. And then Kids Cocoon is the name of the broader area with all of the children's activities. And there's no charge for Kids Cocoon.
Okay.
There's tons of stuff. There's stumps. There's cool furniture. There's demonstrations and experts that will teach you how to do things. So it's really tactile.
And Aaron, you said your guys
Yeah, they
loved it.
They had a blast. My son was standing on top of. They had a stump, probably like maybe 3 feet tall, and my son's doing "I'm the king of the world."
Good. That's what it's there for. I love it.
Yeah, it was great.
That is great.
Yeah, it's cool. That area feels like it's got a true purpose now, cultivating young gardeners.
Yeah, that's it. And getting them in.
Yeah.
Getting them in.
Getting hands dirty.
Getting them in. The actual traffic flow, like you said, you're working on. How does that relationship with the exhibitors? Do they give you a project that they say, we want to do this year? How does that all work?
It's a good question. So we usually start with, we pick the theme. Everybody likes a theme because it gives a helpful constraint to do work in. We put together a very, very loose deck of parameters and sort of thought starters and what the essence of the theme should be about. We review that with everybody. Then they've got some time, a couple months, they submit their drawings back to us. They start with a really conceptual sketch, make sure they're going in the right direction. We, kind of highlight some things, or we know what the flow is going to be. So we say, hey, traffic's going to be coming through this way, so maybe put this on that side. And then they go back and keep working on it.
How do you divvy up the spots? Like, this is a premier spot, so that's going to go to X.
We try to make the floor plan so that there's really no bad spots.
Okay.
So, a couple of years ago, there was, I don't want to say random, but it was more like a choose your own adventure style with just sort of gardens kind of mixed in throughout and no like discernible way to get around.
Was that the French theme?
It was most of the themes prior to last year.
Okay.
And so last year, one of the things we really did was creating this path of the promenade so that nobody would miss anything, so that there's no bad spots.
Right.
We've modified that this year. It's going to be easy to get around, but still in an effort to sort of guide loosely crowd flow so nobody's missing anything. Because we found prior to that technique, people would end up way across the place and realize they missed something, and then going back was so hard. So that's been a big goal of ours.
I know that. I've had that where it's like all of a sudden it's like, I think we missed an entire section.
Yeah.
But last year, all right, I'm tall and I'm broad I don't want to be in the front because I feel like I'm blocking people. So I like staying in the back. From what it sounds like you're describing, you're able to see it all because you're forced to walk a actual path.
It's a little looser than last year. So we've got more cut throughs. If we were looking at a map right now, I'd point out less back of house areas, we call them, right? So more 360 exhibits, but still nice big wide aisles. Last year we were fortunate in that we had great numbers. But it was the first year. We didn't really know what to expect. So we were trying to build it for maybe a smaller crowd.
Is that talking about, this flow, the ambiance goes right with that, doesn't it? Like,
very much so. Yeah. The ambiance
because you're trying to bring people in and make them feel differently, correct?
That's right. We call that in the design world that they say that a journey or a narrative journey, right? So now we've got the floral elements right up front in an area I refer to affectionately as Floral World. It's not the official name. Nice, bright, immersive flower exhibitions to the right. You go forward, you have all the major landscapes, big, beautiful entrance garden, water feature. So it should be easy. Oh, wow. Good ambience.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you travel to go to, and hey, in our industry, we steal our ideas and make them our own.
Right.
I don't know if that is in your experience, but you go all over the world.
I'm very fortunate in that regard. I've been to some amazing places. I remember when we went to the Riviera for research. It felt kind of, it was legitimate research, but it felt wrong. We were meeting with representatives from Monaco. We were over in Italy. Gosh. We were in France. And then we took a trip to Spain, southern Spain, because at the time we were trying to see if maybe the Mediterranean plant palette would fit into that. That felt like a whole other garden world. I was fortunate to judge Singapore. They have an amazing flower show.
I can imagine.
And I'll be going back in July. Probably heading to Chelsea in May. So, a lot of it's research. A lot of it is networking and trying to keep good relationships with these other garden organizations.
I was trying to hold back, but you're not going to have like a native section, are you?
All right, all those native people out there.
Native plant material? You love it or you hate it?
Hate it.
Okay.
Nativars. I'm with.
It's
good varieties of native plants that actually are better.
The great thing about the show is there's a little bit for everybody.
Yeah.
There you go.
There's native references, there's ornamental references.
Now you notice he said that. There's native references and then there's ornamental.
All right, you're going to get me in trouble. You're going to get me in trouble. It's part of the conversation, so we like to host it. So, practically speaking, the natives are tough to force. So it is tough. You don't want to just present dormant plants. So that's another thing with a big native display.
Hey, I get it. And that, natives are something that we carry and we have and we do. But it's just like they're, and it's a younger generation that wants natives.
Yep.
And they're borderline militant You know,
They get feisty.
natives, no fertilizer.
Yep. Yeah. You're like, well, okay.
So
Yeah. It's a passionate debate.
it is. And so you do have to, give everything to everybody. And gosh, I know how hard that can be.
Yeah. Indeed.
All right, we've got to take a break. We'll be right back in the garden right after this. Fertilome Succulent Potting Mix with EcoPeat is the perfect ready-to-use potting mix for all your succulents. Fertilome Succulent Potting Mix is a blend of sphagnum peat moss, perlite, and EcoPeat. EcoPeat is a natural wood fiber from peat bogs. When added to Fertilome peat moss, it produces a superior professional substrate with an exceptional ratio of air porosity and water holding capacity. Fertilome Succulent Potting Mix will ensure maximum drainage with ideal water retention. It's simply the best succulent mix on the market. Ask for Fertilome by name at your local garden center. Available at Daniel's Garden Center, Sumneytown Pike, Harleysville, Pennsylvania. Gasper's Home and Garden, 316 Tanyard Road, Richboro, PA.
From teaching moments in the garden to heartwarming memories, flowers have the remarkable ability to bring us together. The award-winning Philadelphia Flower Show invites you to a vibrant celebration of our growing community at the Pennsylvania Convention Center, March 2nd to 10th. Take part in the transformative power of gardening. Experience floral exhibits from top designers, the world's largest plant competition, crafts, shopping, activities, and more.
If you're like me, then you absolutely love birds. The Bird Sanctuary at Bloomer's Home and Garden Center has you covered. They're dedicated to the care and feeding of wild birds of all sorts. Want to bring more birds to your yard? Then you got to see this place. Bloomers has a huge flock of feeders, birdhouses, birdseed, and much, much more. Want to feed the birds and not the squirrels? They have this absolutely cool bronze bird feeder that will drive those sneaky squirrels nuts. They'll be moving to the next door neighbor in no time. OMG. Bloomers have these absolutely adorable birdhouses that will turn your yard into the perfect bird B&B. They carry all types of wild bird seed, suet, seed cakes, and mealworms. Bloomer stocks Lyric, Coles, CNS, Pine Tree Farms, and much, much more that will keep those beautiful birds coming back for more. Bloomer's Home and Garden Center is located in Washington Township in Gloucester County. For more information and directions, check them out on the web at bloomers.com. Bloomer's Home and Garden Center, you got to see this place.
Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. I love the theme for this year's show, United by Flowers. My future stepkids were all in school during COVID, and the disruptions of the social norms, it still affects people today.
Yeah.
How did you pick that?
So I feel like this is a theme we've been rolling around for a couple of years, and it felt timely because the flower show itself is this gathering of whatever you're interested in, natives, non-natives, whatever you want, there's something for you there. And it happens 9 days in March every year. So I feel like that coming together of passionate garden and garden lovers, that's kind of, that's every year, regardless of what the theme is. So we made a theme about that this year.
Okay. And that where the, and somewhere in the interviews and the statements by PHS about the flower show and its theme, the line was used, loneliness is rampant.
Yeah. So funny enough, and I didn't want the theme to be a downer, but when we were sort of workshopping final touches in the spring, and kind of going through, all right, do we do a thorough job with this concept? It was the same week that the Surgeon General issued a loneliness epidemic warning that same week. So it was a little sign there. And I was like, okay, that's it.
Picked out up on that.
The flower show's a bit of an antidote to that sort of thing. It's something you do with somebody else. It's a tradition you can start. So I love that.
and the memories that are carried from year to year to year. When I talk to folks about the flower show, they'll go, I remember back when I was this year old, and like they just continue that. They continue that and go as a family, like Aaron was.
Yeah, exactly. And that we try to build that into the DNA because it's a modern event, but it's steeped in tradition. And I think that's really special to have kind of both of them in there.
And you're kind of set up because plants provide a natural well-being feeling and things it's I don't know.
We have a deep connection with plants and flowers that goes back millennia, and it's
right.
I mean, can you think of many other things that can say that? Right? It's sort of. I mean, there may be trends, but they're also trend proof, right? So it's universal.
It is
right. There are. I'm sorry. I'm thinking out loud. As far as this should be maybe a site for. Whether it's online dating, where there's meet me at the flower show.
That's right.
Or something along those lines where it just is. I always tell our engineers and our producers that look, it's a great date place. It's a best place to,
I'm married, right? I have I've been with my wife for 10 plus years. Wow. But if I was single, thank you. Flower show would be the best date night ever.
Right.
I
Absolutely.
agree with you. Yeah, that's the place you want to take somebody to.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. So again, and kudos for getting and recognizing the fact. I mean, and everything like you were saying that there's so much stuff online and trying to create so that where people are posting on social media. Mm-hmm. Do you have actual locations intended to be picture spots for social media?
We have a couple, but this year we're leaning on the exhibitors. So they've kind of given us a list of their picture spots. And then we've got a few signage moments dotted in part of B Hall as well. But, really hypersensitive to crowd flow. So I wanted to keep that stuff out of the big kind of main walkways.
Yeah, again, bottlenecks.
Yeah,
All right. We're going to be back in the garden right after these messages. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Fertilome Succulent Potting Mix with EcoPeat is the perfect ready-to-use potting mix for all your succulents. Fertilome Succulent Potting Mix is a blend of sphagnum peat moss, perlite, and EcoPeat. EcoPeat is a natural wood fiber from peat bogs. When added to Fertilome peat moss, it produces a superior professional substrate with an exceptional ratio of air porosity and water holding capacity. Fertilome Succulent Potting Mix will ensure maximum drainage with ideal water retention. It's simply the best succulent mix on the market. Ask for Fertilome by name at your local garden center. Available at Daniel's Garden Center, Sumneytown Pike, Harleysville, Pennsylvania. Gasper's Home and Garden, 316 Tanyard Road, Richboro, PA. Your next houseplant is waiting for you in Bloomers Home and Garden Center's greenhouse. Bloomers recognizes that houseplant choices are as important to your interior decorating as the fabric on your couch. The right plant, paired with the perfect container, can bring a dynamic change to your home. A houseplant brings life to your world and connects your home's interior to the greater outdoors. Even a small succulent placed on your coffee table has a way of connecting your living room to the Amazon rainforest. How about an air plant in your kitchen? Looking for an indoor flowering plant to add color to your plant palette? Bloomers has a large revolving assortment of flowering beauties. From aglaonemas to ZZ plants, Bloomers Greenhouse is stocked with your next favorite indoor plant. Bloomers carries a large selection of pottery and containers to match your home's decor and make any of your plants more beautiful. Bloomers experts can help you care for your plants and have the fertilizer, insecticides, leaf shine, and specialty soils you need to grow healthy and happy indoor plants. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center's greenhouse and make every room in your home a living room. Visit bloomers.com for more information. That's bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden.
Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. Seth, the flower show can be a sensory overwhelming experience, as we know. Yes, you walk through the doors and you don't know where to turn. Now, what are the don't miss exhibits everyone should see?
Good question. So I think overwhelming in the best sense.
Yes.
More plants and
Yes.
flowers and smells and fragrances than you can imagine. And this year, I think it's going to be pretty intuitive where to go. So you come right through the doors. You're going to see this incredible garden with this amazing floral cloud floating overhead, a giant reflective body of water, beautiful garden.
very
To your
cool.
right are all the floral exhibits. Bill Schaefer, I mean, they're all stunning this year. Bill Schaefer, who is a classic, will be picking off of touches from the entrance garden. So lots of aerial elements, mirrored surfaces, reflective surfaces, hot colors. In the landscape category, again, excited about them all. But Kelly Norris, visiting designer from Iowa, I actually have all of his books from before.
Kelly Norris.
Yeah, out of Des Moines. Incredible perennial plant palette. I don't know how he's forcing this plant material. His plant palette is stunning. He's kind of got this vacant lot reclaimed kind of vibe, but the plant material is stunning. Apiary Studio is also picking up on, they sort of interpreted United by Flowers through this roadside, like the Great American Road Trip. And so they've got a garden that looks at kind of like roadside plant material in a really cool way. A third one I'll get in there real quick, Susan Cohen, who is back with us this year. Her garden's got 2 gardens in one. So she has kind of a retrospective garden and a current garden. And you can sort of see, one garden tradition versus another. So kind of not like a before and after, but, back then, current. So, and that's going to be really, really cool to see.
That is cool.
Yeah, different techniques. So I would mention those I could go on. But those are a couple highlights.
Those are the highlights.
A couple highlights.
Right.
I hope everyone listening appreciates the amount of work it is to get those plants, trees, shrubs in flower and timed. We talk all the time about how plants need to have a certain amount of sunlight to haul them into flower and so on. How do they do it?
So good question. You have people who have all of these different niches. So you might have somebody who's a tulip specialist. So, Harmony Hills growing all of our tulips this year. We've got a huge tulip statement this year. Landcraft is growing most of our perennials this year. Landcraft is an amazing boutique nursery in Long Island, but recently opened up growing facilities in Maryland. And they're kind of down for all sorts of interesting plant material. So you got to grow kind of stuff that is going to do well because it needs to be in flower for the guests.
Right.
And then you got your fringe stuff that you can really test the, like what can you do? How talented of a grower are you? So, it's wild. And then you got trees from Florida if you need to bring up tropicals.
Yeah. I always am amazed where you get to see so many plants that are in bloom and that we're starved right now. It's been so kind of gray and the weather, it can't decide whether it's going to be cold or it's going to be warm.
No.
And that you go into the flower show and it's just bam.
Yeah.
It's everything. It's not, some of it's cut. There's areas for whether it's cut flowers, but it's just the way that it's put together. I'm looking forward to that display from Kelly Norris. I love perennials, and just to be able to see some of the perennials that basically have been missing since fall.
Yeah. I'm a huge perennial lover, so I keep my eye towards whoever's got a really interesting perennial garden statement. So I too am partial to that.
Very nice. Very nice. Awesome. I always suggest people do an early morning tour. It's intimate. It's a great way to get a handle on the show. But I'm going to let Seth explain more about that.
Early morning tours are kind of a hidden gem or a secret. If you know, you know. They're very popular. It's a 2-hour tour led with an expert a really small group. They have all sorts of interesting insight and details, from the backstories to how the gardens were created to, what's going on in terms of plant material. And of course you're there before most of the crowd, so you have the whole place to yourself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, early morning
It's
tour
another
is the way to
incentive.
go. It's the way to go. Yeah, and they're very popular, and the guides are amazing. They know everything. Sometimes I'm like, how did you know that? Like, and I was like, you didn't. How did you know that? So it's amazing.
And it said that they're usually between 8 and 10 a.m. So they are early morning, and like you said, you get almost the whole place to yourself. You get a behind the scenes look, but also the historical things that we've talked about.
That's
That
right.
They expand on that. The stories, and most of the people have been doing this, right? That this is not their first go.
Oh no, yeah. These are people who have been with the show decades.
Wow.
So you really are getting, it's if you look at the flower show not as a garden event, but as a cultural event, like an art museum, these would be the docents basically, right? Who know every little tidbit about the piece of art.
Well, I love that.
Beautiful.
Yep. I love that. And as far as if, like, we talked about kids, and we talked what novice gardeners, right? Novice people that they don't. We find that our callers and as well as our customers, that they often think that even if they're a master gardener, they don't think they are. And for those that are really new to gardening, is there anything that you would suggest for that they go to?
There is.
All right.
So we get this in a lot of the post-show marketing surveys. People want knowledge. They want a place to go and really learn, like, just give it to me straight. What's going on? What do I do? So we
Right.
created an area called the Plant People Place. It's all the garden societies over there. It's staffed with garden experts, both PHS and from outside of PHS, kind of every day, all day. And this is an area where you come and ask any question you have about plants and gardens. And there's an expert there walk you through it.
There you go.
And
Okay.
the garden societies are all around here too. So really heavily based in education, but not the educational displays.
Right.
Just kind of a packed information center. So that's in direct response to that same thing that you're asking about.
That's really good.
And it sounds perfect. Where some people are intimidated, and so it's a horticultural society, but it's not. I have always found that the people there are welcoming,
Yep.
and that it's something that don't be intimidated. There are no stupid questions.
Yeah. Bring that plant on your phone with the wilted leaves.
right.
You're gonna find out what went wrong. So that's what this is for. There's no dumb questions. We speak plant.
I speak plant.
We
That's
speak
it.
plant.
Plain
Translators.
Yeah, that's right.
Translators.
I like that.
That's it.
Modify that.
Where again that there are different plant societies, if you will. What is the strangest one? I don't know. Maybe Harold's listening. Do you have a carnivorous plant group or anything like that?
There is a carnivorous plant group. What the strangest one? There's a plant society for every possible plant. So I don't know if I could say the strangest one, but the Cactus Society is an amazing one. There's so many strange, you see a lithops and you don't even know, is that a plant? Is it a stone?
Right. Right.
The aeroid groups, that's a whole other.
So what is
world.
an arrow? What is that?
An aeroid is a genus of plant material, tropical plant.
Okay.
Yes,
So air plants?
no, air plants are not
Different.
an aeroid.
Oh, they're not aeroid.
Yeah.
So what
yeah.
is what would be an aeroid?
Oh, God.
I'm putting you on the spot.
You put me on the spot.
Moving on.
Moving on.
Harold, we have a listener who is from Staten Island, Harold, and he is totally into carnivorous plants.
Okay.
Gives talks and around the area about them, and that he'll call with a question. Actually came to visit us, and it turns out that his son is one of the meteorologists for CBS.
Oh,
Yeah.
spectacular.
Yeah, so
That's funny.
it was great. With that, he said he was coming to visit his son, and we're like, "Oh, that's great! How nice!" It's like, "Yeah, well, it's so."
Yeah.
But again, it's a CBS 3 weekend meteorologist. He Good guy.
He's a
good
carnivorous
guy.
plant
He
person.
is. Yes, he is.
By blood. All right. I
yes,
love that.
He is.
Noted.
Yes, he is.
Noted.
So there's something for you out there.
That's it.
So
And at the garden, at the flower show, there's everything for everybody, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. It's 12 acres of garden goodness.
yeah, and,
Wonderful.
and again, don't think you'll be bored because there are other. I can just see those boyfriends are like, oh my God, she's dragging me to the flower show. Oh yeah, you'll be sucked in. Don't worry.
Yeah. I don't know, as garden landscape, I get into all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm looking on how did he do that retaining wall? Oh, great stone. Oh, he put that log there. Right.
And there's company reps there too.
Yeah,
I know
I'm
that that can help you with that kind of thing. It's like I don't know where to get that, and then there they are.
Yeah. No, there's any and all genders are going to
Yeah.
find. It's not biased one way or another.
Well, that's great. All right, we'll be back in the garden right after this to talk about PHS and how this helps them as an organization. Some of our most frequent questions revolve around organic container gardening for houseplants, annuals, and of course, vegetables. Coast of Maine's Bar Harbor Blend Organic Potting Soil is a lightweight soil mixture made with salmon, blueberry, lobster, and other composts, as well as calcium and chitin-rich lobster shells, sphagnum peat, perlite, and kelp meal. It is a great soil. And Coast of Maine's Bar Harbor Organic Potting Soil is rich in organic material, creating lush, disease-resistant plants that require less watering, less feeding. Its rich, dark brown color provides the perfect balance between water retention and drainage needed for healthy plants. Coast of Maine's Bar Harbor Blend Organic Potting Soil is available at these local retailers.
Tony's Farm and Garden, Windsor, New Jersey. Espen Shades Garden Centers and Greenhouse, Lidditz, Pennsylvania. Pickering Valley Feed and Farm, Exton, Pennsylvania. Dreaming of a gorgeous garden? Give your azaleas, rhododendron, blueberries, and evergreens a powerful boost with the #1 acid-loving plant food, Espoma Organic Hollytone. Hollytone is a perfect blend of natural, long-lasting ingredients that nourish plants for stronger roots, faster growth, and bountiful blooms. Plus, it's easy to use and safe for people, pets, and planet. Visit espoma.com for a retailer near you and helpful gardening tips. Espoma, a natural in the garden since 1929.
From teaching moments in the garden to heartwarming memories, flowers have the remarkable ability to bring us together. The award-winning Philadelphia Flower Show invites you to a vibrant celebration of our growing community at the Pennsylvania Convention Center, March 2nd to 10th. Take part in the transformative power of gardening. Experience floral exhibits from top designers, the world's largest plant competition, crafts, shopping, activities, and more.
Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. The Flower Show is the main fundraiser. And again, this is the Philadelphia Flower Show. And don't ever make this mistake. It is not the Philadelphia Horticultural Society. It's the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society.
Pennsylvania Horticultural Society. Better get it
That's right. That's right. I made that mistake once. Whoops. I'll never do that again.
Do it. That was your one shot.
Because all of the fundraising and the things that the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society does for the community in Philadelphia, around Philadelphia, is just amazing. And one of the things I was most impressed with and still am is the workforce development program. Can you go into that a little bit, Seth?
Yeah, workforce development is an amazing program. It's literally teaching job skills in the horticultural industry. You're learning how to do things. You're learning about plant material. You're frequently the same day pay, so you're not waiting 2-3 weeks. So,
right.
Perhaps there's people coming through, the corrective justice system, et cetera. So, job skills, job training in the horticultural industry and helping people kind of, get some forward momentum going.
Which I think is fantastic because a lot of it, I think there was a study done on the percentage of when people come out of the justice system and that how many go back compared to the work that PHS does with them, it's an incredible difference. And that they're learned a trade and a skill, and it starts while they're on the inside.
Yeah.
and that then they actually come out and work within the areas, whether it's at Meadowbrook or whether it's the pop-up gardens or what have you, that they have hands-on experience. And I just think it's like if I had somebody come across with a resume on my desk that says, Pennsylvania Horticultural Society, whoa, it's like, all right, let's get this guy.
Yeah.
We really want to get him.
And we do hear that too. Stories of that.
It is to me that is one of the most amazing things that you would think that is like a horticultural society is doing this.
Well, that's one of my favorite things about the flower show, right? So we need to continue to do a good job of making that connection, but it's a ticketed event, and all of this revenue goes to support workforce development, vacant lot reclamation programs. All of the work the PHS does is funded by the flower show. So if you come in, your ticket is actually helping to do these things.
That's right. And the tree program. My daughter, when she lived in Northern Liberties, had a tree planted in front of her apartment. And it was like all of a sudden, miraculously, this tree was planted.
Yeah.
And it was incredible.
I had the similar experience, and I obviously work for PHS. I remember talking to that team. I was like, oh, cool. You guys put the cladastris in. I love it. It looks great. The tree tenders program. And the other thing I really like about that, too, is PHS is content experts, but we also teach other people how to be content experts.
Right.
So these tree tender communities are these powerful little close-knit community groups, helping with tree canopy. So not only are we helping do the work, we're helping other groups do the work.
And so I don't forget, become a member of the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society. You have an option when you buy your tickets, and it helps do so much work, but at the end you are inclusive. Like for instance, at Bloomer's Home and Garden Center, if you purchase something and you're a member, you get a discount. So it's something you get benefits, and you can get involved with all of these different things.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that vacant lots can be an eyesore, but you guys do something about that.
Yeah, vacant lots are an eyesore. Plus, they give communities the opinion that nobody cares, nobody's watching, that this place is untended.
Right.
And we've found the vacant lots program, actually helps lower crime. I think there's studies that show that vacant lot reclamation combats gun violence. So basically, what we do is, we're going in there with teams, with people working on these projects, clearing out the rubbish, clearing out, trash and whatnot. They get lawn down. So it almost become little pocket parks. They get the little white picket fence around it. So whenever you drive around the city, you'll know these because you've seen that. And that's the work of PHS and our partners.
Talk about the theme that you're talking about, huh?
Well, there you go. I mean, you're picking it up. That's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
And, on that note, the pop-up gardens.
Yeah.
The pop-up gardens are a great thing. Explain to our audience what a pop-up garden is.
Pop-up garden is something typically a space that is, in between it's whatever it's supposed to be, a derelict space, a vacant lot, whatever. And we'll come and literally, clean it up and create an outdoor dining or beverage space, beautiful immersive garden, cool pop-up, tons of programming, things that you can learn and do, experts, activities, that sort of thing. And then these gardens might be up for a year. They might be up for 3 years. South Street we've had for a number of years. And that's a bit of an anomaly because that's turned into such a classic on South Street. But, I mean, when we first started, that was just this crazy, trashy lot, and now it's a beautiful garden space.
And again, it's a place to form community, and it's a cool place to hang out because it's open and it's not like, it's not stuffy in any way. It's kind of like, I guess horticultural sports bar.
I love that. Oh my God, that's exactly right. Yeah. Usually incredible gardens, right? So you're sort of learning. The money you spend there is going to support these programs, so you feel good about it. So community anchors.
And you can get a drink.
A great botanical cocktail.
That's it. Gold medal plant program.
Yes.
Uh,
Gold
I
medal
wa-
plant program is you can, if you literally Google gold medal plant program, you can see we have a panel of experts, and these are tried and true best plants to pick for the Mid-Atlantic region, basically. So if you stick to anything on this list, it's going to do well. It's going to be beneficial to pollinators and other habitat uses. It's kind of like your go-to for what you should pick.
That's it. And you'll have success. If you pick a gold medal plant, you're going to have success with it. It's given a designation. The plant may have been around for years, but it's given this designation. So you get a list of plants to choose that you know are going to do it. So if you create a landscape or a garden and using the gold medal plants, you know that you're going to have success.
Yeah, you can't go wrong. Pick from gold medal if you don't know what to do. That's going to get you going. Yep.
Is there one thing that you want to add that is like a pet program besides the flower show that you want to bring light to?
I think, the flower show, I sort of live and breathe at 365. I do think the vacant land program is pretty incredible. I live in Germantown right here in Philadelphia. So I see these around. And then I think the best thing is I see what happens after they've been reclaimed. They become barbecue spots, endless children's parties there, people walking their dogs. So it's kind of cool to see this thing go from, maybe an eyesore or worse to a little community anchor. So, I am partial to that notion. I love that that's part of what gardens can do.
Wow, that's great. All right, we've got to go into a final break, and then we'll wrap up right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Coast of Maine's Organic Castine Blend Organic Raised Bed Mix is the best soil for raised bed gardens, planter boxes, and container gardens. It grows amazing vegetables. It is made with a mixture of manure compost, worm castings, lobster and kelp meal, mycorrhiza, green sand, and biochar. It's ready to use straight out of the bag with no need for additional components or tilling. If you love growing fresh and hearty vegetables, herbs, and flowers, Coast of Maine's Castine Blend Organic Raised Bed Mix is the perfect choice for you. At Coast of Maine, we believe in growing organically and buying locally. Castine Organic Raised Bed Mix can be found at these fine stores.
Offers of Kissel Hill Home and Garden Store, Rorastown, Pennsylvania. Ashcombe Farm and Greenhouses, Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Pickering Valley Feed and Farm, Exton, Pennsylvania.
Well, welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. Seth Pearsoll has been our guest from the Philadelphia Flower Show and the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society. Before we leave, what are the dates of the show?
The dates are frighteningly close. Saturday, March 2nd to the 10th. And the hours are 10 to 8, and then on Sundays, 10 to 6. So plenty of time. Come visit us.
Get your tickets. Awesome. The tickets are weekday tickets, and then there are weekend tickets. So decide. All you have to really decide is you're going on the weekend or the weekday, and then you get your tickets for that period. There's a little bit of savings, I think, if you go during the week.
Yeah, buy them right now. If you buy them right then, price is a little bit higher. If you buy them right now, though, there's a savings there. So March 2nd to March 10th, come visit us.
And check your local garden center. Like Bloomers, we do sell the tickets. So you can save lines. You can save a little bit of money, too. We actually offer a gift card if you your $5 gift card if you buy tickets.
I love that.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Full incentive.
Fantastic.
All right, Seth, thank you again.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Kat.
We'll be right back next week in the garden, same time. See you in the garden.
See you in the garden.